the immediate costs that are going to be incurred. That's with our officers now, as I understand it, and the CEO will produce a report for, he was hopefully going to do it for this week, but next week or the week after in the near future, before we do finalise our budget. We will go ahead anyway. The crisis date is not the end of the month or the 1st of July. We only have to continue to indicate, yes, we want to split at that date. The big date is the 31st of July, and when we have to give a business plan that we're going forward independently.
Just on another subject, councils will meet for its last pre-budget meeting before the budget is formally handed down later in the month. 6.7% is the rate increase that's been recommended. Is that what it looks like?
That's not right at all. The other levies we're trying to tweak down so we can get, my aim is to get that 3.6% at most, to make it a total rate increase like that at present time. The indications of the recommendations of the officers are higher, but they've already been asked to go away and reduce those.
What would it be? What are we looking at for a rate increase?
Well, if we knew that, we wouldn't have to have a meeting, would we?
Yeah, that's true, but you must have some indication of what's doable.
Well, I told you, what I'm after is 3.6% as a total rate increase.
Gold Coast Mayor Ron Clarke there, and yes, of course, a lot of unanswered questions. We just heard the Mayor suggest Council may have to cover Logan and Redlands water operating costs. I'm just going to let that point sink in for a moment. It just sounds too unbelievable to be true. That's, of course, if the Gold Coast splits from Allconex. The Act yet to be finalised, clarification required, and we will endeavour to get some clarification from the Energy and Water Minister, Stephen Robertson, who'll be joining me after 9 this morning.
October 12 is Australia's Right to Work Day.
With the Queensland Government. Stephen Robertson is the state's Water and Energy Minister. Minister, good morning.
Good morning, Nicole.
Lots of ministers in there. Can we start with water first? We just heard Ron Clarke speaking to us before 9. The Gold Coast City Council, as you know, wants to split from Allconex. The Mayor says you are encouraging Logan and Redlands not to split from Allconex. Are you encouraging these two councils to stick with Allconex?
That's ultimately the decision that Logan and Redlands councils will decide. That they need to get their heads around the issues of whether by either staying with Allconex or going out of their own, whether they can provide water at a cheaper rate than is currently being provided. That is the fundamental question that all three councils need to ask and indeed find answers to in the lead up to 1st of July.
So the state government is not actively encouraging both of those councils to stick with Allconex?
No, not actively encouraging whatsoever, but we have made the point on a number of occasions that we believe in that the structure that was established with the agreement of all councils in South East Queensland is the best way to provide safe, secure water for a very fast-growing part of South East Queensland. And whilst prices have certainly increased, the efficiencies gained through the new arrangements will in time deliver benefits for all residents in South East Queensland.
Okay, so not lobbying but gently persuading.
No, not even gently persuading. This is a matter for those councils to determine. A number of councils, as you remember, Nicole, over the last number of months have been actively campaigning to split from their distributor retailers on the belief that they can provide water cheaper than whether it be Allconex or the other two distributor retailers.
Can Allconex still operate with Logan and Redlands as their main shareholders if the Gold Coast goes it alone?
Well, therein lies a real issue. It could well be that that Allconex cannot continue to operate effectively and efficiently if Gold Coast does decide to demerge. That will be an issue that we will have to have a look at post 1st of July when we know what councils are, what their preferences are.
But shouldn't the state government have sorted all of this out before saying to councils, look, go away and decide whether you want to disconnect yourself from Allconex or stay with Allconex? I mean, shouldn't that have been decided as opposed to after the fact when they say, yes, we'd like to leave, but now it's all too hard?
Well, no. What we need to understand is that the pathway that we put in place is that by 1st of July, councils have got to indicate to the state government what their preference is. Then over the weeks following that, the consequences of that need to be determined, and then finalised in the lead up to 1st of July next year. So there is a full 12 months ahead of us in terms of any work that needs to occur subsequent to decisions by councils to continue with their distributor retailers or to de-merge from them.
The Gold Coast Mayor is suggested to me that council could be liable for covering Logan and Redlands water outlet. Gold Coast does split from Allconex.
Well, that is in fact correct.
Okay, can you explain how and why?
Sure, because Allconex came about with the agreement of those councils. So Logan, Gold Coast and Redlands sat down and created this beast called Allconex. What we find is that 12 months on, one council is giving consideration to pulling out of that. That will have costs for Gold Coast and cost also imposed on the two remaining councils, not of their own making. Those costs would only come about as a result of actions by Gold Coast Council. I don't think that's particularly fair on the ratepayers.
No, it's not fair. It's not fair at all.
It's not fair on the ratepayers of Logan and Redlands.
Well, it's not fair for Gold Coast ratepayers either.
Well,
to have to fit the. Well, what costs are we talking about specifically, and how much are we talking about?
Well, sorry, there were costs to establish Allconex that ultimately all ratepayers in the three areas contribute to through their rates. The costs of demerging, and that means, for example, Gold Coast establishing their own water business, offices, all the assets that would have to be returned. All of that comes with significant costs.
So,
and I'm sorry, but someone has to pay for that. There is no magic pudding.
How much would it cost?
Well, there's been all sorts of.
Give me a range. Give me a range of how much. And is it a one-off cost or is it ongoing cost?
Well, there would certainly be a one-off cost, and I can't tell you what that cost is. That is a matter for Gold Coast to assess.
Yeah, but Allconex is a product of the state government, so you must know how much it would be. You set it up, so you must know how much it would be to...
No, I'm sorry, Nicole, we did not set it up. These are council-owned entities. This is a council-owned business. They were established by three councils. The state government did not establish them. But if they want to demerge from these council-owned businesses, that comes at a cost. That money has to be found somewhere. And as I said, I don't think it's fair on the ratepayers of Logan and Redlands if, as a result of the decision by the Gold Coast Mayor, they end up having to pay additional costs